The Central Coast Mariners boss has come out and said that Ange Postecoglou will transform at Tottenham. Reports are stating that Spurs are interested in Manchester United star Jadon Sancho. Harry Redknapp has joked that Daniel Levy would sell his own grandmother. Reports are stating that Barcelona and Spurs will meet next week to discuss the permanent transfer of defender Clement Lenglet. And Simon Jordan has come out and said that Daniel Levy is not happy about Tim Sherwood's comments recently. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well. This is another episode of Tottenham News where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now let's start with a report from the Daily Mail, and it states Central Coast Mariners boss backs Ange Postecoglou to transform Tottenham after facing the Australian when he managed Melbourne Victory. Ange Postecoglou will turn Tottenham's fortunes around and won't pick a fight with chairman Daniel Levy. That is the view of Nick Montgomery, the highly rated boss of newly crowned A-League champions Central Coast Mariners. The former Sheffield United star crossed swords with Postecoglou when the 57-year-old Australian was manager of Melbourne Victory. Montgomery said Ange is an inspiration and I've followed his career closely since playing against his teams in the A-League, where he was always playing exciting attacking football. What I love about him most is how he proved all the doubters wrong at Celtic. He then went on to say, I've got friends in Scotland, and when Ange Postecoglou arrived, people wrote him off. But I remember saying he'll do really well, just wait and see. He had a tricky start, but soon enough he turned everyone's opinions round, and you can see now what he has gone on to achieve. All those Celtic fans who weren't happy ended up loving him. I can honestly believe he will go in at Tottenham and transform the club. Montgomery then went on to say he won't whinge about things and have a go at the owner, which it seems that every manager who has gone in at Spurs has criticised chairman Daniel Levy. You definitely won't get that from Ange. He's a hard worker and I'm confident he will turn Tottenham around in the next season or two. Ange is an inspiration for everybody, not just Australians. Former Tottenham Hotspur boss Harry Redknapp has joked about chairman Daniel Levy and said, Daniel don't care who he sells to as long as he gets the money. Daniel Levy will sell to anybody. He will sell his own grandmother if he could get the right price. A report has just been published by the Daily Star and it states that Spurs are considering a £50 million swoop for Manchester United winger Jadon Sancho. The Old Trafford star 23 has struggled with fitness and form over the past year, and Erik ten Hag sent him to the Netherlands midway through last season to recover both physically and mentally. But if that break sparked an initial improvement, in the main, his performances have been patchy at least. And with Sancho no longer an automatic pick for the England squad either, he has been left out of the squad for the Euro qualifiers against Malta and North Macedonia. Rival clubs are monitoring his situation closely. In this report, it says that Spurs are one of those definitely interested in Jadon Sancho as they attempt to regroup and rebuild ahead of newly appointed manager Ange Postecoglou's first campaign. Negotiations for relegated Leicester City playmaker James Maddison began last week. Now, in addition to a £40 million offer for the Foxes' England playmaker, Spurs are poised to join the race for his Three Lions colleague Sancho, who has won 23 caps. It then states that Manchester United, having paid £72.9 million to sign Sancho from Borussia Dortmund 2 years ago, are likely to want close to £60 million to consider doing business. Tottenham Hotspur midfielder Oliver Skipp lined up for England under-21s on Saturday afternoon as they fell to a 2-0 defeat against Japan in a behind-closed-doors friendly at St George's Park. Part of their ongoing preparations for this summer's European Championships, the Young Lions picked up valuable minutes as a group in Japan's visit to Burton. Oliver Skipp was picked to start the game and played 60 minutes, producing a superb block to deny the Japanese taking the lead on the stroke of half-time before being subbed for Liverpool's Curtis Jones. With this summer's under-21 Euros kicking off in Romania on the 21st of June, England are expected to confirm their final squad for the tournament on Wednesday, the 14th of June. TalkSport's Simon Jordan has come out and said that Tottenham Hotspur chairman Daniel Levy is not happy with the comments that former Tottenham Hotspur boss Tim Sherwood made on his podcast Up Front with Simon Jordan recently. He said, I have a view that there are two sides to every equation. I did an interview the other day with Tim Sherwood, which I can't quite make head or tail of because I'm not entirely sure that Tim was telling the truth a lot of the time. It has brought out a reaction in Daniel Levy that he is not particularly happy with Sherwood and some of his observations, so we will see how that plays out. On Saturday, it was reported by Sport, the Spanish publication, that Barcelona are just about to spark a deal with Tottenham Hotspur for the permanent transfer of defender Clement Lenglet. The Sport article states the club, Barcelona, hope to agree the final departure of Clement Lenglet to Tottenham next week. The transfer fee will be low, but very important savings in salaries. Barcelona begin to go against the clock with sales to try to lower the wage bill as soon as possible. Sports area has been working on many fronts, and the first that can materialise is that of Clement Lenglet transfer to Tottenham, whose agreement is close and can be sorted next week. Tottenham have already expressed their desire to sign the French central defender, and the player himself has agreed to leave Barcelona. It states that a meeting has already been scheduled for next week, and in terms of figures, Barcelona were asking for around 12 million euros for the Frenchman, but it could finally be done in half this amount, around 6 million euros. The key is that Barcelona would save around 18 million euros per year, and Clement Lenglet, who renewed his contract until 2026, if he went back to Barcelona, he would be one of the highest paid squad members. That is why Barcelona are willing to sell him for a low figure, because the future savings will be more than 30 million euros, a boost to lower the salary bill. Now, my thoughts on these stories in this episode. Let's start by talking about the Clement Lenglet deal. Now, if this is true and Spurs do get this deal done next week, I'll be a little bit disappointed, really, because he is no better than what we've got. Since he has joined us from Barcelona on loan, every single guest I've had on this channel, and there has been a lot throughout last season, I've always asked the question, what do you think of Clement Lenglet? And every single response I've had on this channel from multiple guests, including a lot of journalists as well, the response has been, he's okay. Now, we don't want okay players to take us forward. And what I hope that we change as a football club is what we did under Antonio Conte last year. And that was Danjuma, club signing, Jed Spence, club signing. Now, this rumour has been going around for a good, 4-6 weeks, might even be longer. I've spoken about this at length as well on various different episodes, Clement Lenglet to Tottenham. Now, it should all be about what our new boss, Ange Postecoglou, wants and what the director of football wants to do, which, of course, hasn't been appointed yet. I hope that a director of football is appointed very, very soon, because this is exactly what they should be doing. These discussions should be made with the manager, and it should ultimately be his decision whether he is going to be playing these players. I know some people would argue, well, Clement Lenglet is a good backup. I'm sick of hearing that saying, to be honest. A good backup all the time. I think we've got more backup players than actually stars on the pitch, and that is exactly what we want. We want players to take us forward as a football club. Yes, we are going for a rebuild, but when you're going for a rebuild and a transition, you want to be bringing in players that are going to be playing for you week in, week out, taking the club forward, and you feeling confident with them. I've got nothing against Clement Lenglet at all, but if I said to most Spurs fans, who's the better player, Ben Davies or Clement Lenglet, I don't think there's anything between them, if I'm completely honest. And, last summer we were talking about signing Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan, and now it seems that we are settling for Clement Lenglet. So it will be very, very interesting to see if this happens. Now, Daniel Levy's comments to Simon Jordan, who, of course, that is his friend, I'm actually quite surprised because I watched that podcast, and I tell you what, if you've got a spare, I think it was about 90 minutes. I thought it was an excellent podcast, and it's a very new podcast by Simon Jordan. He's had some fantastic guests on there, and he throws some fantastic questions at them and makes people feel very uncomfortable. It's very, very straight talking, and there's no getting away from the real subjects. And I felt when I watched that Tim Sherwood episode, Tim Sherwood was actually very honest, and Tim Sherwood actually stuck up a lot for Daniel Levy. So I don't really get what Daniel Levy is unhappy about in that regard. I know Sherwood at one point said about, I want to play Harry Kane rather than play Soldado. Is it all about, us playing the players that have cost the money rather than developing and bringing through the youth and, the players that have come through the academy, as Harry Kane did? Of course, we all know how that's panned out and worked out. Harry Kane's gone on to, score hundreds of goals for Tottenham Hotspur, become our all-time leading goal scorer, and of course Soldado ended up leaving the club, and it was a very unsuccessful spell. So I don't really get what the issue is there. Now, as I said on previous episodes, certainly in the last few days, it is great to hear from so many people that have either watched firsthand Ange Postecoglou working at previous clubs, at previous jobs. Now hearing someone who is managing in the Australian League who has been against Ange Postecoglou in Montgomery. He believes that Ange Postecoglou will transform Tottenham. And as I've rightly said as well, it's been great to see how many people have changed their mind already about our boss, because there were a lot of disappointed people. And of course, as I've said before, when people have gone away, they've thought, wow, this guy, knows his stuff. This guy has done things at previous clubs. Yes, he hasn't had the big break at a Premier League club or a break at a top, one of the top 5 leagues in Europe. But everywhere he has gone, he has delivered. Everyone is talking about entertaining, attacking football, free-flowing football. I cannot wait to see it, if I'm honest. And I really am looking forward to pre-season and, of course, the Premier League starting in August. And by the way, the Premier League fixtures are released next Thursday. So really looking forward to that. And lastly, Jadon Sancho to Tottenham. Can't really see that one happening. I can't really see us paying that amount of money for a player that, in truth and in fairness, he hasn't really delivered and lit up the Premier League, which everybody thought he would. He has struggled. And it's funny because even in the article it says, struggling star Jadon Sancho. If he's struggling in the Premier League, what does Spurs want him for? Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, come on you Spurs.